People ask a lot, they have for many centuries, but it's certainly in recent years, why would I have to go to a priest? Why couldn't I just confess directly to God? Well, here's a quick answer. Because we're not angels. See, if we were angels, pure spirits, then we could have a direct sort of spiritual contact with God. But the thing is, we're embodied creatures. And that's why the sacramental life of the church is a very embodied thing. It uses bread and wine and water and oil and hands and voices to communicate. Because we're not just angels, we exist precisely in bodies. And so we need that contact, we need that physical communication to allow the power of this thing really to sink in. Think about this too, is in all the sacraments, the priest is acting in the person of Christ. The priest is there as another Christ. Well, Christ forgave sins. He didn't do it, though, in some angelic way. He did it with his voice and with his hands and with his personal presence. And so the priest, in all the sacraments, but confession, of course, is acting in persona Christi, in the very person of Christ. And we who are embodied people, I think, need that very real and physical encounter with Christ through the mediation of a priest to receive the full power of what Christ is about. Think for a second of the power of the priest's word at Mass. So the priest, again, operating in persona Christi, in the very person of Christ, says, "This is my body, this is my blood." And those words affect the change in those elements. The power of Christ's word, it affects what it says. Well, the same thing is true now when Christ says, "My son, your sins are forgiven." It's Christ's word, his voice, that mediates the forgiveness of sins. The same thing now is true in the sacraments. The priest operating in the very person of Christ speaks the words. And by the power of those words, Christ's forgiveness is mediated. And I think it's very important now in the economy of salvation that we recognize the importance of the body, of the spoken word, as the sacramental mediation of Christ.